Okay, update. Still doing some a few little alterations. Now switch the left center, right center channels over from this sdds over to here, so put them here and here because I've got the left and right back surround channels that usually play on the left center, right center on this, or rather the lead output, the D25. So I'm going to rewire it and put those surround back channels over here, because on channel left center, right here, but that's neither here or there. The what's it? I've got the overhead surrounds output in there if it's a Dolby Atmos mix, or if it's playing in with a Dolby Digital with a Dolby Surround up mix. But I've got heat playing at present. Which version? Because there's so many versions. That version, theatrical mix, or the theatrical version, whichever way you want to call it, because the later DVD and the Blu-ray, horrible, terrible. I don't like films that have been tampered with. And I wouldn't buy the 4K because I assume they'll pull the same shit again with Warner Brothers, and won't even use the theatrical version, because I'm sure that's pissed off quite a lot of fans. I just got heat at the moment playing in 5-screen, so I got the left center, right center activated there, or I can turn the processing off. It's off there now. It's just running LCR splits around and SW. Put them back on.
Where the fuck did this heat come from? Maybe it's a score they're on for the place, not us. Hit a couple of times.
Wouldn't mind a simultaneous button.
Assume they got our houses. Assume they got us.
That's not a big. That's not a problem. That's not a problem to wire up. Just to rewire inside. So when, if I want both decoders running, I just press 1 to activate both. And that's got both fingers there, and I'll do simultaneous. Yeah. I was thinking of getting another cheaper, similar to the Dolby CP 45s, which is the SA10. It's the same. It's the same insides. Except they do a little modification over this side and over here with the optical preamp, because they don't use the optical preamp, and the other optical preamp board is in the back of the processor, as well as they dispensed away with the free screen Lynx Riley crossover. Preferably, I prefer to get a CP45 than an SA10, because it's the same thing. Only the CP45 could do just a little bit more. It does the same trick as an SA10 10 surround EX. But these things now, you know, you can buy them like, whoa. If George Lucas could see them selling today at like 20 £20, you know, that's like ultra cheap. That's like cheaper than fish and chips, especially for a family meal. Especially for a family meal, £20. Oh yeah. In fact, this was one of my first PL decoders that I brought back in 1990, I think. And then a few years, well, many years later, I brought a second one because I wanted to do a 5-screen one day, and I've only got round to doing that this year. I've been wanting to do a 5-screen for, whoa, probably about 20 years. So, you know, you got to get matched speakers first, and, you know, they got to be sufficiently good. High efficiency is better because smaller JBL Control 5s, yeah, they're okay, but they're just going to need a little bit more power, and then I'm just using up more power, and it just doesn't seem logical. So just get high efficiency, and I get something that sounds like a very small boothless cinema auditorium today, because that's, you know, same theatrical mix in a smaller room, and it has no problem in playback. I just like the feel of this fader. I mean, yeah, these are okay, but I can see I'm going to have to clean this now because I can see fingerprints on it. I might get some of that sticky, tape or whatever you can get, whatever it is that you, or maybe I'll just have to clean it every now and then. It vexes me because I can see it shows up too easily, but I can't see the fingerprint marks on that unless you get a bright light on it and you're looking at it really hard enough, then yeah, but otherwise I like the feel of this. And whoa, I can fade that down like quicker than I can fade that down, because I've got to turn it, and that's taken just a few seconds. That's just taken a couple of seconds. With this, 1, 2, 3, probably a lot, well, definitely a lot faster than that. And our problem is take the bank or split even when, hang on, I've got to take that off because it's on exit fader. And doing it this way, way lot slower. That's a way lot slower. So the fader I did modified onto the Sound Associates Dolby Remote fader, which was designed for the CP65. Yeah, it's the fastest fader in the South. I like it. The only thing I haven't wired in yet, because I've got to wire it into the, I think it's the automation. I think it's into the automation, so I can use the mute button. Otherwise, I've got to go like that. Just turn the fader up a bit higher.
Well, you know, for me, the action is the juice.
And just turn the fader down. So I'm going to basically I just want a cool home cinema because even though I'm not running 35, that's just too tricky. That's just too, you know, you've got to keep film prints in good condition. They've got to be kept under temperature controlled all year round, and well, that would just be ridiculous costing money, so in keeping it the cooling system. So I don't see it practical. The only thing that depresses me is re-recording films, tampering with the film mix, and well, it's a pity that Dolby Labs never put in the way of format coding for their CP, or rather their it would be the DA10 and then the and then followed by the DA20, which superseded the DA10 because the DA10 had audio dropout problems and sometimes synchronizing with projectors. And then lately, they in the 90s, they brought out this CP 500. It can't do everything that the Dolby CP 200 can do, which, yeah. And 70mm was getting slowly phased out. But it's funny how it's sort of coming back today. You know, you sometimes see the 5-perf original, but the Limax versions, I don't care what it is. IMAX, Limax, I don't care. I'm not interested in that IMAX 70mm or 5-perf or the highway. But basically, it is still the highway because I'm not really a fan of digital tracks on 70mm mag. Sorry, well, it should be 70mm mag because there is a nice warmness in the presentation when it's played back in a really decent JBL THX cinema. It's got a really lovely quality. Digital's good, yeah, but I haven't been to around enough of them in THX cinemas that knocked my socks off that like 70mm 6-track mag did, whether it be A-type or SR. Oh, you're having a sniff, Sooty. Well, you want to do some calibration? Ironically, I've never actually heard a discrete sdds 8-channel mix, and yet I've got the processors in the home, and if I wanted to, I could get a 35 projector minute, but then it's just tracking down the film print. The odd 200 or so that have got SDDS 8-channel, because all the rest of the prints are just SDDS 6-channel. Yeah. But still, these are pretty cool to own. And it absolutely would confuse anyone. Like, well, because you've seen the video, you know what fader more or less does what. But it's a lot more. Besides that. These fader dials here, they got to be kept at max level. It's still got a lot more syncing to do, and that's usually done with sine wave. So I've got a steady signal, and then I will put it through each, and then have it rewire the outputs from the amplifiers, coming back to the THX, and then the output from this goes back to the computer, to the RTA monitor, so I can see the voltage level as well as the frequency level, and so then I can get everything absolute transparent.
problem is take the bank or split right now. Do not go home. Do not pack. Nothing. 30 seconds flat. On our separate ways. That's it. Chris.
The bank is worth the risk. I need it, brother. You should stay and take it down. That's where I come out.
That's one of the surround channels. Yeah, feel that nice. Oh yeah, that THX feel. Or a mix of LCR.
This is the best thing to do. I got plans. I'm going away after, so for me the reward is maybe worth the stretch. Well, Elaine takes good care of you. You got plenty.
Subs on, but you can only feel it, but you can't hear it because it's so low in level. The other channels that are wired up, so I got on the processor, it's wired up a little bit differently at the moment. On the amp return, which is, I consider that just to be a bit important to see what the levels are all coming back at from the amplifiers as such, because everything's different, every amplifier is different, and there might be some small deviances, and as well as looking at the EQ frequency, even though that's going to be totally different on the internal, going through from the processing to the amplifier. But that's probably too much for one person here to understand. It takes a little bit more time to explain. The return amp, or power amp, as it's up there.
That's it, Chris.
And I've got right center there, left center there, left, right, and left and right surrounds. Subs, the amp for this sub at the moment is turned off because it's evening time. I've got the gain levels that go to the amp, that go to the amplifier. If I turn it up max, I don't think much is going to come out. Oh, what am I talking about? I haven't got the amplifier turned on, have I? Yeah, that's right, because it's an amp return, isn't it? It's an amp return signal, see? On the processor, yeah, it will be, I could put my hand on the speaker behind there and I'll be able to feel the low frequency. If the amplifiers are not working or turned off, when you use the this mode, you can determine whether there's something broken or what not working. It's either a loose wire, could be the cinema processor that's got confused, particularly if it's digital, because they can get confused, and they can sort of rewire the channels to scramble the channels and play them in different places. Like, say, center channel won't play in center channel, it could play on one of the surround channels. That can happen. And the only way to resolve that is just, you would simply open up the cinema processor and you will just simply press the reset. And then, because it's even happened on this, even in Dolby stereo mode, because it's DSP and such, and I guarantee it would happen with a CP650, a 750, and most likely an 850. It's just depending on when these dial faders, this needs to be changed because it's not behaving in the usual way. I've got a spare one that I can strip script down and just turn that again. And it's rebooting.
Not on this one, Michael. On this one, you're on your own.
There's a couple of the cards that are not plugged in for a reason because, ooh, what was I seeing there? That was new. I have to check into that. I think it's the battery. I think it's the battery on it. That'd be on the main board down there. Not a big deal. It's only to memorize, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not every day you see a THX crossover monitor with the fader turned right up to 10. Only goes to 10, I'm afraid. Doesn't go to 11. 10's, well, actually 7 or a little bit less than 7 is sufficient, depending on the equalization, the loudspeaker type, and the tuning of everything. Because if it's all poorly tuned, then bloody hell, you ain't going to be playing a film at 7 now, are you? Because if it's going to be like hurting your ears, it's most likely the middle range frequencies and some of the highs that are bending your ears, and that's bad. And that's when fader goes down, and that's been common practice for decades. I remember at UCI, nearly every film that was played, I don't think in any one of the 10 screens, I don't think any film was ever played at 7. Not one. They were always often played slightly above 7, might be 6.5 or 6.6, or it might be 6 or 6.2, but never often less than 6. Never often less than 6 on the fader, but never ever played at 7. And that's, well, that was the chief's decision, and I thought it was okay. It's only a couple of dB for crying out loud, and the auditoriums were fairly quiet enough, so really. And you couldn't hear much sound leakage, but today, at Tower Park, absolutely appalling. I wouldn't go there ever again to watch a film. Never. Because all you hear now is sound leakage coming from the screens. And because they got wooden floors, you feel sound transmission vibration going through the wooden floor because it's butt tight, get near to the wall. And it's absolutely appalling. So yeah, because the auditoriums, I think they were only really designed up to a max of about around 90 dB until, you're going to get problems. And they're obviously playing at about 115 on the sub now, and screen channels probably 105 and surrounds and such. So, no, it's not the sort of cinema I would like to go to anymore. Plus, they don't have a THX sound system, nor do they have a THX baffle wall, nor do they have 5 screen channels. No. A lot has changed there. They ripped out all their Victoria, they ripped out all their Cinemacanica Victoria 35mm projectors, and digital cinema just doesn't tickle my fancy one way or the other. I'd rather it just die and fade away along with cinema, and that would be it. Unless someone wants to resurrect 35 and 70mm 5 per period, then I would consider going back to the cinema. But if it's digital, it isn't cinema. It's like I say, if they haven't got 35 or 70, it isn't cinema. I might not have 35 or 70 here, but then that's been the case for decades in the home. But then I'm just thinking, how many home cinemas have got this sort of setup? Would it confuse them? Would they see any point in it? Sometimes, oh yeah, I know the pros and cons. I know, oh yeah, what can do what and what can't. I've still got other formats here, there that I can wire in, because as long as they take an electrical input signal, that's okay. With here, and here, well, that doesn't activate because I haven't got the SR card fitted in. The SR cards, I took them out and they're in the bedroom. Same with this one down here. The SR cards, I removed them. But the A-type, that will turn on. The mono, that will turn on. And these 1, 2, and they run on the optical Dolby Stereo left total, right total 424 matrix. And as long as, if I could modify the preamp, if I could modify it, I could run these and then have that going, running through the matrix decoder. But the matrix decoder is being removed. It's in the bedroom, because I only need to run these and these and this and this, of course. That's an optical preamp. I mean, I might as well remove it, because I'd reduce just a small percentage of heat, kind of like this film playing, as well as voltage consumption power. I'll just reduce a little bit, or I don't have to. I mean, I just unplug it just a little bit and just leave it in the rack. I think I'd like to get a CP200. I really like a CP200. That's the Rolls Royce. That's the Lamborghini. That's the Ferrari. Especially when it's at very cheap price, so like fish and chips. If you can find one, or be patient enough to wait for one to come along, and then you've got yeah, you've got a CP200 for the price of fish and chips. Same goes with all the other formats or inputs. On these, the surrounds are turned off at the moment. That's just for the side surrounds. That's for the back surrounds. That mode there would have been for the matrix overhead when I was using it up to around last week sometime.
Nothing. 30 seconds flat from now, we have gone on our separate ways. That's it.
I could rewire this and do a special surround feature, but when I do still activate that, I'm still activating the below surround speakers, which are located underneath the seating. Ooh, one down here underneath the seat, underneath the iron seat, and the same with the front rows. And there's not many home cinemas that are running below surround. Is there, City? No. Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Or I can just switch it in that mode. Just turn off the surrounds, as well as muting anything up there. Turn off the extra left, center, right surrounds, and I can just go through each and every one channel and monitor it one by one to see how well it was mixed, or to see what hidden treasures there are, what Easter eggs in the frequency and phase relationship between the mix. Because if I can sense anything that's different, I can expand on it and make it a little bit more exciting than the usual channels that it's designed for. because more is better than less. But then sometimes less is more, or more is less. Or which is it less? Overdone, overkill, or was it over and done? What was it say? Overdone?
Listen, with the heat we got, you want to play World War II in the streets
Hmm?
with Van Zandt?
Done over? No? Overdone?
I got more motivation to whack Van Zandt
No?
than either of you. He is a fucking luxury. Our problem is on our separate ways. That's it, Chris. Bank is worth the risk.
I'd like to get another DCX, but I think I'm going to relocate this, move it down a little bit, because this DSP gets a bit warm, and this here, this gets a little bit warm. In fact, I put my finger there, yeah, or there. God damn, it feels like a radiator. These have a little bit of heat, and I wouldn't want to put my hands inside them on any of the on any of this here, because that would be pretty damn hot. The fans are dismantled or unplugged, so they don't sound like leaf blowers, but I've been running them like this now, or at least one of them, for many years, not a problem. And most of all this doesn't run with fans and what have you. CP500 has a fan on it. The fans are turned off. Or I did wire them up to a DC voltage so I can vary the fan speed. But no, runs okay. Runs okay.
Assume they got our phones, assume they got our houses, assume they got us right here, right now, as we sit. Everything, assume it all. How are we gonna buy the bank back?
There's quite a lot of things that don't run on fans. I mean, you got this Blu-ray player here, that doesn't run with no fan. This HDVD, that runs with a fan, even though I disconnected the fan because it sounded like a leaf blower. It was so goddamn annoying when listening to a film. The fan on this is a bit quiet, and the fan on this one is a bit quiet, so I don't notice them. I haven't noticed the fan on this, even though the Onkyo is in the kitchen now, that serves as an internal amplifier, which is running the... Ooh, what the fuck?